actually put a lot more into our garbage because the incinerator has to burn it. And
that was interesting as well, because she did mention, what is her name, Annie Leonard, she did mention the dangers of incinerating trash, and we incinerate trash here.
Yeah,
Thank God my wife doesn't work at child development anymore, because she used to come home and complain about the stench. But we burn trash here on the premise that we use it to generate electricity.
Yeah, here's the thing. The reality is that Bermuda used to do landfill, and, you know, Marsh Folly was the place in which we put it in. And, you know, we have restricted space, so they had to do the incinerator. The interesting is, if you look at the history of the incinerator is getting close to 20 years old. And the technology that they first invested in was purely for incineration and to generate enough power to cover the cost of the incinerator, which I applaud them. I think that's great. But they're now changed the incinerator. The incinerator now is called a waste energy plant. And, you know, until we see a lot more energy being developed from it, it's still an incinerator that burns things. So.
Can we please ban styrofoam packaging in Bermuda? That's one of the questions that came through via the internet. This is an uphill battle for Bermuda and its environmental activists. The absence of a representative from the Ministry of Environment and Sports is conspicuous. It was actually designed that way. This was supposed to be about Greenrock and Green yesterday, today, and tomorrow, the theme of Heritage Month. Anyhow, I attended the movie and discussion last week, and once again, the lack of representation from environment stunned me. Works in engineering, community and cultural affairs, and energy telecommunications were all represented last week at Summersfield. And until we have a Minister for Environment on board, the government's commitment to environmental issues can't be called, or can't even be called lip speak, since they are not even pretending to be interested. I won't even ask you guys to answer that or even comment on that. Then we have another one here. Good evening, panel. I think that Bermuda does recycle a lot. I am fully aware that lots of waste takes place here. But just imagine if we did not have household cars, etc. for sale on places like Sun Shopper and Emu. These two websites are the biggest recycling companies in Bermuda. Most of us also go to the airport and get large items for our use. What is the nickname for the dump? There's a name that they... Macy's.
Yeah, airport, yeah.
That recycling thing, one of the things she touched on is that doesn't really, it's not really the way to go.
Well, it's not that it's not the way to go. What she's saying is that, you know, we shouldn't feel that just recycling is going to solve the whole issue. There's a component there that shows that for every barrel of trash we throw away at home, there are 70 barrels of trash thrown away producing all the products that we just put out in the trash. So that means that for somewhere like Bermuda, most of our waste is somewhere else. Most of our pollution is somebody else in somebody else's land. So, you know, we need to make sure that we're addressing what's happening from a waste perspective, but that we're also tackling, you know, like the toxins in the production line, you see what I mean, our consumption levels that are demanding all this production when we could, you know, and things of that nature. We have to address the whole picture.
Let me take this call. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, good evening, Gary, and good evening to your guest.
Good evening, sir.
Here, intrigued by the program this evening, and the presentation just now was incredible. I would ask the host if it's possible that presentation be taken to every school on this island, private, public, senior, and middle and primary school, as well as even getting out into the business world. That presentation was off the hook. And I want to congratulate the host and also ZBM for hosting Let's Talk this evening.
Thank you very much, sir. You do have plans to get this out into the school. Well, you did mention that.
We're actually going to be part of our school roadshow, which we do to the middle schools and senior schools. We haven't sort of trickled it down to the primary schools. We actually have another program where we're hoping to hit with the primary schools just because of the nature of the information and everything like that. And we are grateful that you aired it, because the more we can get this kind of show out there, we've got actually some other ones lined up produced by the same lady that talks about some very interesting topics. I just want to point out one of the things. Greenrock's a huge supporter of Sun Shopper and Emu. It's exactly what we need to do. It's a good example of green economy. it is an example where here was someone who set something up and now is allowing to recycle goods on the island. It's a perfect example. And then the styrofoam comment. There's biodegradable picnicware out there. We introduced it in 2007 at a concert. I know that the Emperial Group is trying to do that in a lot of the events, the cultural events that they do. And so basically, instead of styrofoam or instead of takeout containers, it's a container that's made out of biodegradable materials, whether it's potato or corn or sugar cane. And the beauty of it, it degrades itself, and if it has to be burned, it's not going to be no toxins. So
right. Remember, the number to call is 295-2828, and to join the discussion electronically, it's letstalkbermuda.com. You can post your comments there, and just as we read some of those a short time ago on the air, we will do a little bit more of that.
Well, I was just going to say something about the trash. You know, some of the stats that we did get about the trash is that we're throwing out in excess of 800 pounds of household trash per person, you know. And that doesn't include all the trash that's thrown away into Hamilton. So if everyone just pauses for a minute, let's think about how many people are in Hamilton on a day-to-day basis, and how many people are buying lunch on a day-to-day basis, and bottled water, and sodas, and drinks. How much trash? Now, that trash is not calculated in the 800 pounds. That's separate. So if we think about all this waste from a simple thing now, we used to bring lunch, but now it's more convenient to get takeout. But what is the cost of takeout over bringing lunch? You know, and these are the things that we're not considering. See,
and not just what you paid for it.
Right, because now when you have waste, when you have streams that are polluted, when people don't have access to clean drinking water, like who pays for that? Who pays for these cleanup acts? Right, that are caused by our lifestyles.
Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Moreno, if I should call you Mr., and your panel.
Evening, sir.
You guys are talking about water and all again, right? You know, all the years I've been in Bermuda, I can't even remember buying one bottle of water. Y'all lost it.
No,
it's great, it's great.
You know something? But I'm being quick, too. When I was a young man, I had to take 2 buckets of water. I take 2 buckets. Where I lived, they had about 200, 300 people living in the same building. And I had to take my 2 buckets with me and go down the pond. And, you know, like those days, you had to turn the bucket, you have your rope on the bucket, you turn it upside down.
For real.
Pull up. But I had to fill up my stomach with water, and the tanks were summertime, and the tanks were empty. Fill up my stomach with pouring water and take 2 buckets home. I ain't up. And I'm now been sick of my life.
You've built...
But it's a fact.
Yes, give thanks, man. We encourage.
Look, and you guys are talking about recycling, right? Look, let me tell you something, boy. You don't know the millions and millions of dollars people are making in this world through recycling. I saw on TV where down in, I think it was in one of them foreign countries way down in the Far East, they were taking all the cardboards and all they get from America by the shiploads, cartons, and doing something with them. So we're laughing at all this recycling and all they get. These people around there laughing at us. Because my life has always been like this. When we're asleep, these people around the round table picking up what they're going to do next. This is what's going on. Everything is done practically behind our backs, and these people are making millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Okay, sir, thank you very much for your call.
Take care.
Yeah, it's interesting that he mentioned about buying water, because there's another film produced by the Story of Stuff Project. It's called The Story of Bottled Water. Yeah. And it highlights that in a year, Americans throw away enough bottles to go around the planet 5 to 8 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
5 to 8 times, you say?
Around the planet.
Yeah. There's a lot of stats on our site.
In a year?
In a year,
There's a lot of stats. If you go into our greenrock.org site, you'll see a lot of information about bottled water, and we've done several campaigns on it. Part of the reason we did this whole campaign was to introduce bottled water, containers to reduce the amount of bottled water. So,
go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Again, Marina, very good show.
Thank you, sir.
And I'd like to, I'm both glad at Dean for making their points. And I would like to say that the Bermuda system, period,